I'm very pleased to welcome Atul Sharma, who is the CEO of Rudolphin India and also Vice President for Rudolphin India. Welcome, Atul, to this very special show on how CEOs in the PR community are tackling the various issues which are being posed by COVID. Welcome.
Thank you, Parul. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Atul, my first question really is that the the IT sector has come into greater focus than it ever has before. What are your views on how communication is going to pan out for this sector going forward?
So I think, like you rightly said, technology right now is changing every industry. So whether it is, some of the prominent industries which have, which have got into the limelight around the COVID-19 news, which is healthcare, education, services, logistics. I think they are definitely adapting technology at a very fast pace. I also feel strongly that for the communication sector specifically, technology was always being used, but I think now the learning curve is going to become much sharper as businesses will learn how to work in virtual environments. Making sure that they're able to support their clients through Zoom calls or Skype calls or team calls, or getting the work done even when you're not in office. I think that's going to change a lot of things for the communication sector. I think another thing which we see around this time, which is being where technology is being leveraged to the fullest, is how do you dispel misinformation? How do you tackle fake news? And how do you make sure that your employees get all the possible information in the fastest time possible? I think that's where the communication sector is going to leverage the technology to the fullest, and obviously it will have its own ramifications for sectors that communication will serve in the long run.
Given that Rudolphin is so always ahead of the tech curve, what are the top one or two things which you recommend that PR firms should immediately start looking at when it comes to using more tech?
So I think for us at Rudolphin, technology has always been a way of life. So we've always leveraged technology to disrupt the world of communication. So whether it was, voice, so, coming out with Alexa skills first, or artificial intelligence. I think in COVID times, the only recommendation that I have for all my peer firms is that leverage technology to keep your flock together, to keep your people together, because I think the only asset that public relations industry has is our people. So how do you ensure that you are able to keep people together leveraging technology is something which is very basic, and which is going to have and give dividends in the long run.
Given the various clients that you have, would you be able to share a bit of insight on what do they feel about communications at this point in time? Of course, we've said it's a business critical function.
So So yes, definitely. I think communication is a business critical function, and more so now. But I think this lockdown has put immense pressure on businesses around the world, and India is no different. Right now businesses are more focused on internal audiences to keep the morale up. So there's a lot of communication happening, but it is more centered on internal audiences as of now. Uh, Businesses are also making sure that they're leveraging this time to be prepared for crisis. So there's a lot of focus on crisis preparedness rather than just mere response, which has always been the case. But I think one thing which has definitely changed is that brands have also realized that this is also a time wherein they need to invest in the community. So it's always not about sales related communication that needs to be put out there, but sometimes it's, you go back to the ecosystem, you help the people in need, and you build a much stronger community. And I think that's where businesses are learning. I think one of the other things which we see, and that's very important for a public practitioner, is that how do you come up with stories which have a human element in it? Because I think that's what people want to write about today. And if your brand finds a mention in it, nothing like it. But I think the important thing is, let's be humane, let's be focused on what's happening around our environment. And business can wait. Business has waited for such a long time. I'm sure business can wait a little bit more also.
So to come, you are a bit of a product expert. You've helped launch many products, whether it's in the startup field or the consumer tech field. Of course, products are of no interest right now to the media unless there is a very direct COVID link. But very soon there will be an interest because there will be a revision of processes and how the products itself might change. So, given that in mind, do you have any views on how that end is going to shape up once the economy starts not normalizing, but coming back to some level of activity?
So I think, Parul, one of the things which I feel this is a blip. This is a blip which has possibly lasted for a long time, and nobody knows where the bottom of the pit is. And usually, every time when an economy slows down, there is obviously it comes back with much more renewed vigor and force. And I don't see this time it's going to be any different. We definitely feel that sectors like healthcare, sectors like education, sectors like services or logistics or e-commerce for that matter, consumer technology to be precise, will definitely, I think there'll be a lot of pent up demand in the system, and I definitely feel that that's where people are going to go to for purchase consideration. I'm sure after the essentials are taken care of. I think that's where we definitely see a lot of business conversion happening in the midterm.
So, keeping that in mind, last year when Katie was here in India, she'd said that we're looking for acquisitions in the digital space in India. Is that plan on hold now? What is the status of that?
Well, yes, like all other businesses, we've also taken a pause to review, assess, and look at opportunities to partner with like-minded digital firms. And I think it's a good time to step back, validate real opportunities, to look at firms that we could possibly acquire in the long run. So yes, we are trying to see, assess potential partners, agencies to assess their synergies, cultures, work ethic, and vision to make sure that we can actually be with somebody who we will be invested in the long run.
Can you give me a sense of how the employees, not necessarily in Rudafin, but overall, considering you have a PRCA hat as well, and a lot of activities have been rolled out. Can you give me a sense of what's the morale like among the PR professionals?
Well, I think it's all good. It's all good. I think as good as it can be. We are a people-intensive industry, and the only thing that I can say is that this working from home has changed the paradigm for us. We are social animals. We like to see, touch, feel, for collaboration, for exchange of ideas. For building teams, and accepting to this new and virtual way of working is something I think which I think people have taken to. It's been a tough journey, but I think I see more and more people adapting to the technology that is being thrown at them. Uh, I think more and more firms have also invested in technology to make sure that they are communicating to their people enough. In fact, over communicating through WhatsApp, Zoom, Teams, Skype, good old mails, and also leveraging social media platforms to drive engagement experience with their people. uh, I think a lot is being done even at a PRCI level. There is a campaign that we have run, which is about how to work from home. There's a campaign which is being run on mental health and awareness, and there are more campaigns, as we speak about it, which are going to come to public relations practitioners. And I think we're doing good, and hopefully this too shall pass.
That's true. Nothing stays the same, good or bad. So there will be light at the end of the tunnel. One or two final questions. Since you are a bit of a techie, what are the things technology-wise that would enable working from home? Of course, we have the video conferencing tools and But do you see any other aspects of technology which would begin to aid greatly the working from home experience?
So I think, definitely, I see anybody and everybody who was not into technology will know enough and more about technology by the end of this is over. I think that's one thing. uh, I also feel that there is going to be demand for special skills like app development, like cybersecurity, like social media monitoring and response in a big way, and that's definitely which is going to come our way. But I think on a softer side, uh, it's also apart from the technology piece, it's also made us learn as individuals how to trust our employees, how to believe that when they work from home, they do work from home. And I think that's is the big difference that's going to change the way our work culture is going to evolve. There is more and more companies are going to be open to the idea of work from home. More and more companies are going to leverage technology to make sure that people can work from anywhere, anytime. And I think that's going to become the new normal. And people who can leverage technology, work in virtual work environments to build teams, to understand client priorities, to mentor teams, and to deliver campaigns, I think those people will be super valuable as we go ahead and build the public relation industry in the post-COVID era.
A related question, would there be concerns about offering enterprise level security at home? Because now, one of the things which you could only access from office, you may be forced to do that from home.
Definitely, and like I said, one of the things where I see demand coming is going to be cybersecurity. So right from encryption to firewalls to security measures, that definitely I think will be the new norm. So till today, I think as a workforce, we haven't invested enough in work from home environment. I see big fintech players, going on an overdrive to do that. And I see that in case we want to make sure that our clients' data is safe, our the intellectual property rights are safe, we will need to invest this as we build the work from home environment for our colleagues.
Thank you, Atul. That was most insightful, especially the tech bit of it. That was Atul Sharma. He is the CEO of Rudolph in India, which is a very digital forward, very tech forward firm. So I think those insights would be really valuable, especially about how fintech companies and data security, how will that pan out? Thank you, Atul, so much for joining us.
Thank you, Parul. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's always been a pleasure to interact with you. Thank you.